All right, we are back. This is Trevitt's news section, and he has a few kind of little interesting tidbits to fill us in on this week here.
All right, so starting off, I got Doctor Strange Damnation's been shortened from 5 issues to 4 issues, so instead of 5, we're getting 4, that's fine. You know, normally Marvel's always adding in issues and Omega issues, so this is kind of a first for them, taking 1 issue off the table and shortening it up a little bit for us. And I think they did that because it turned into a little bit of a crossover. So you're going to get the 4 issues of Damnation, and then after that, you're going to get the Iron Fist, Scarlet Spider, Doctor Strange kind of crossover. And they're going to have that Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze one-shot, which I'm pretty excited for. So that's pretty cool. And though we were talking about before about Scarlet Spider and how it's, you know, we hope that it's not an end to the series.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, when a random book like this, well, even, you know, he's kind of been dealing with the death stuff lately, so I guess he's been a little magic-y of late, but you know, sometimes an unrelated book that gets sucked into something like this sometimes is a sign of things not going well, so we'll see.
Yeah, that could tie in really well with Scarlet Spider, because, you know, he's been in Nevada. I think he's still in Nevada. The secret, I'm behind on the past like 4 or 5 issues. So is it still before Secret Empire, or is it after Secret Empire right now?
It's been after Secret Empire, so the place is technically like in ruins.
Okay.
He's still dealing with that Cassandra lady and like trying to save her daughter, but she has turned like the casino into basically like a refugee camp for the city, and is like helping them. He's kind of defending it from people trying to steal the food and shit like that. His face,
get on that.
Yeah, you knew about his face, right? It got repaired.
Yeah, it's healed up, right, by death.
But now he did something kind of fucked up, so now it's like fucked up again. And he saw death again, and she's like, "Listen, you got to stay on the straight and narrow, or your face gets fucked up." He kind of thing is what he's dealing with right now. So he's trying to right his wrong, and he's dealing with I forget the slingers, but some of the slingers are basically in disguise as other people, and they're being revealed one by one. And one of them was Cyber was dressed up as I fucking forget all the slingers' names. But Cyber was in disguise as one of them. So yeah.
So now it's like
unfolding.
So now it's like friggin' fuck. So if he does fucked up shit, his face will start to get fucked up like it was. But if he does good shit, he can keep his nice Peter Parker-esque face.
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Is what's going on right now with his inner consciousness. He still like debates what's right and wrong, because what he did was right. Like, he beat the shit out of somebody that was doing something bad, but like almost beat him to death, you know? So that's why his face is all jacked up.
Yeah. Because all
yeah, me and Double A Ron love it. So we chat about it a little bit every month it comes out, and he reviews it. So
yeah, he does like it. He always tells me how much he likes it. Okay. So what? I must have fucked up this list. I did. Okay, so there's nothing wrong. All right. So this week, in other news, it was announced that Marvel Comics and Conan Properties International have struck a deal to bring the Barbarian back to Marvel Comics with a new series that will drop in 2019. I'm assuming it's going to be an ongoing. No creative team announced. We still got a full year before an issue even comes out, so I'm sure they'll be developing that over the course of the year. I did see some promotional art by Esad Ribic. I'm hoping he's going to be the artist that's on it, but who knows, because there have been tons of rumors swirling around about what he's going to be doing with Jason Aaron, possibly an Avengers title. But he does have that Image book coming out, so I don't know. Usually some artists like to work on one book a month, but then there are people like Joe Bennett who do like 3 or 4, so he could be doing multiple things. So that's Conan. And then up next, I read this article about the Marvel's new Create Your Own Comic platform and how it has restrictions, just in case nobody knows, because it's not really that big a deal. Marvel has a new platform where you can take any of the Marvel characters and make your own comic book with them. So here are some of the ridiculous restrictions. Up first, we got nothing can frighten or upset children, because I guess they're going to be on a public, it's a public platform, so if you make a comic book.
And let me just say, this is an awful rule, because my daughter is going to be 5 next week, and goddamn everything frightens her. So you can make no comic book that would not frighten her. You know what I'm saying?
That's like, what was it? My nephew, we took him to see a movie yesterday, and one of his friends we couldn't take because she's scared of the movies. And it doesn't matter what movie it is. If there's like, yeah, it doesn't matter what movie. Everything scares her. The dark lights scare her. If the loud noises scare her. If there's a character like wearing black who has a raspy voice, that will scare her. So she can't go to the movies. She was out. So I mean,
well, you know, forget about playing PlayStation when my daughter's awake. It's like if I hit the middle button on the controller to turn it on, you know, that background music that just plays while it's on the main screen.
Yep.
She's scared of that. She doesn't like that music. It's scary music to her. So
that can catch you off guard sometimes because it's like ding dong.
Yeah. It's already literally the worst rule ever. But go on, because it only goes downhill from there.
Oh, it does. So next up, we got no prescription drugs or over-the-counter medications or vitamins can be used.
You know those commercials that are on literally 8 times every break.
So they're not like they're not going to see it on regular television. Like, but vitamins, like even vitamins. Anyway, no contraceptives is number 3. So no birth control or condoms.
Aren't in regular comics anyway. I've never seen a hero put condom on. So
no, I've never seen a female character take a birth control. I got to take my birth control pill. I totally forgot.
Right.
Or, you know, Green Goblin steals what's her name? Mockingbird's birth control, and Peter goes nuts because, you know, he doesn't want any children. But so no nudity. That's the next one. So no nudes. Not that there is any nudity in comic books anyway. So I don't know why that would have to be.
Yeah, image. I mean, unless you're reading an image book that's kind of what you expect going in. You know, they make it pretty obvious.
That's true. There's some titties and a lot of cocks in image books. I don't know if anyone's read Jason Aaron's Goddamned, but that book has a lot of cocks in it because it takes place there in like Noah's Ark. So no leaves, no fig leaves in that book. No sensationalism, i.e., killer bees, gossip, aliens, or scandals. So there you go. There goes like big threats.
Any storyline?
Any storylines out the fucking window right there. Next up, no obscenities, bad or offensive language. That's off limit, folks. No swearing. No cocksucker, no twat, no cunt. Like no bad words. None. What's up next? Oh yeah. This is my favorite. No noises related to bodily functions, i.e., farts, burps, etc. So no farts, no burps. Wow.
No easy jokes. You have to literally earn every joke you put in the book through dialogue.
They're really cutting it down here. I don't know. Once we get to the end, you're going to be like, what the fuck are these self-made comic books going to be about? I have no idea. No death. That's the next. No one can die. That's the next one. So nobody dies. Nobody can swear. Nobody can gossip. Nobody can fight aliens. There are no scandals. There's no nudity. So next up, no misleading language, whatever the fuck that means. I don't know what that means. Misleading language.
I don't know. Maybe is that like you know how sometimes curse words can be like in disguise with meaning? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
Like shiznit or something like that. You know, something like that.
No undercover vulgarity. That's basically.
Yeah, stuff like that is what I'm thinking.
So no copying of any current or past Marvel advertising creative. Now those are exact words. That's verbatim. So you know, nothing you've ever seen in any type of Marvel ad, movie preview, no Marvel ideas whatsoever, I guess. Okay. Next, no double entendres. None of that, folks. None of that. Oh boy, they're really they're sucking the fun right out of this.
Yeah, you can't make a fun comic book.
No, you can't do anything. No amusement parks that aren't Disney. So you can have amusement parks, but it's got to be a Disney amusement park. So it has to be owned by Disney World, Disneyland, whatever other kind of fucking amusement park they might own under a sister company or something like that. But yeah, none of that. So, here's one. No movie studios that are not Disney or Marvel, etc. Like Touchstone, nothing that's not Disney. So no Warner Brothers, obviously, or anything like that. I guess you can't make up your own.
I don't get even what that means. Like, you can't use Batman in it? Is that what?
I know. I mean, like, if you're gonna make a comic book that has a movie studio in it, it can't not be Disney or Marvel or something. I guess I don't know. I guess they're just trying to cover it for just in case someone puts a movie studio in their comic book. Let's throw that in there. So, fucking lawyers, man. It's lawyers who make this shit up. So
yeah. So it's basically also they don't have to pay you for it if it's any good.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing.
They have all these loopholes to kind of steal your stories. It feels like
I
don't know what else this is for.
Because I mean, there's one more, but before I get to that, it is like Marvel, they let you know that Marvel owns everything you do. So if you do something cool and they think it's a good idea and they want to use it, they use it. They don't pay you. So all right, already the fun and hope is completely fucking sucked out of this platform. Like, no one's going to sign you. No one's going to give you any money if you come up with a great idea they want to use. You can't do anything fun. So I don't know where these great ideas are going to. I mean, there's a lot of shit to navigate through to fucking do something cool with this comic book creator. Because the last one, no guns. No fucking, what are you going to do? Bad guys have guns in every comic book. No guns at all? Yeah, what are you going to do?
This is, I don't know. I don't want to, like, it'd be cool if it's kind of like a color form thing on the computer that you can copy and paste like characters into background scenes and kind of do something like that and just tell a story through pictures, because I don't know what you're gonna do, and like no character can have a gun. Even like Gwenpool doesn't have a gun.
Punisher.
She doesn't use them much or hit anything with them, but she like has a gun in every photo you see of her. You know what I'm saying? Or a sword, or I don't know.
It's gonna have like a Punisher comic book with knives. Like, what are they gonna do?
Then it's probably you can't have them fight, or so. I don't know. Use the Punisher and tell a story, but he can't do anything like fighting bad guys in it, basically.
I mean, and there was a time like a couple weeks ago where every time I opened my phone, a different site, like Cool, Newsarama, Sci-Fi, fucking IO9, like all these different sites, like Marvel has a new create your comic book platform, blah blah blah. Well, you advertise the shit out of it and then suck all the fun out of it. What's the point?
I know. Well, those websites are just shills for the companies.
Yeah, they are. They really are. They get like a hard on anytime Marvel. You advertise, we'll kick you something. Like we'll give you comics early, or they'll do some kind of deal.
I don't know what they get out of it. Something.
Get clicks. I don't know. But one last thing, and it's not really news. It's just something we talked about last week. When I was looking for news, I stumbled upon this, that they made a checklist for Infinity Countdown. So.
Yeah, I did see that. That was sweet.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. So now people, and it's cool. It's got like little arrows and it tells you like what you're going to find in the issues. And it's kind of like set up in the order of how the issue should be read. And it has a picture of the covers. So that's pretty cool. So they finally did that, and they should have did that to begin with. But yeah, that's it. That's the news. That's it.
All right. So we're going to send you guys off to our books where we got Phoenix Resurrection number 3 coming up first, and we will be right back. All right, so I'm just going to keep this one going because it was only a couple seconds long.
Yeah,
and we'll just get right into Phoenix. Kat, you are driving me fucking bonkers today. Seriously. All right. Tablets, good to go. All right, we are back, guys. This is Trevick going to take over with the IVX section of the day, and he is going to bring us part 3 of the Phoenix Resurrection Saga. Trevick, go ahead, man.
All right, so we got Phoenix Resurrection number 3 out of 5, written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Joe Bennett, inks, well, pencils by Joe Bennett, inks by Lorenzo Ruggiero, color by Rochelle Rosenberg, and lettering by Virtual Calligraphy's Travis Lanham, with a cover by Leniel Francis Yu and Romulo Fajardo or whatever Jr.
Yeah,
I think
that
person. Ah, cool. Ow. All right. That person from Romulo Fajardo or whatever. They do, because I can't tell if it's a woman or a man, they do the colors on Wonder Woman, and you can totally tell when you look at the cover because it has that kind of like yellow sepia hue to things that that person's famous for. So there's no solicitation for this issue because there was one solicit for issues 2 through 5, so we're skipping that portion. So we're just going to hop in. So we start off this 3rd issue of Phoenix Resurrection in what should be a familiar scene to longtime X-Men fans, with Jean flying towards a body of water in a spacecraft. And only this time, she's in a waitress uniform.
Yeah. And if you're not comic book familiar, it's like X-Men 2, the movie.
Yeah.
It was towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end. Only I think it was the Blackbird instead of a spaceship. But they did do... they did do it in the X-Men cartoon the right way, the 90s animated series. So if you saw the 90s animated series, I think it's on Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatever.
On Hulu, definitely.
Yeah. Because I was rewatching it not too long ago, so they did it well in that too. They did everything well in that series. I love it. I still watch that today. Like, but yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So So as the water fills the ship, she struggles to keep her head above it, trying to get a gasp of air, and then she wakes up, and she's in a puddle of, I don't know if they're wine bottles, soda bottles, water bottles, but she's in a puddle of liquid on the floor in a supermarket, surrounded by customers and neighbors and people she's known, I guess, her whole life in this fictitious life that she's living, and they tell her that they called the doctor and her boyfriend. But Jean's still in shock from the vivid memory, and she just gets up and fucking bolts for the door.
It's like she was drowning in Sprite.
Yeah, she's drowning in Sprite. It's weird because like when they're on the counter, they look like Sprite. They look like Sprite bottles. But then on the ground, like some bottles look like a gallon of wine. So it's weird. But then the liquid on
it's
the
like
floor,
a green. It's got to be a glass bottle because it's shattering. It's almost like Perrier jug or Perrier growlers.
So yeah, she gets up, she bolts, not wanting to wait for Scott or the doctor. What's the doctor's name is irrelevant, but he did say, I called Dr. Reyes, and she's on her way. But so then then we head over. We're in Jamaica Bay, and a boy and his father are they're fishing. Talk about how much how beautiful the day is, and it's great to be fishing, blah, blah, blah. The father remarks that it's a lot hotter than he thought it was going to be. And then his son sees dead fish popping up all around the boat, and the water starts to bubble and ripples just going everywhere. And then Phoenix fire shoots up out of the water and into the sky. And then the kid's like, I don't like fishing anymore. And the father's like, fuck fishing. So yeah, that happened.
I'm in that camp too. I can't stand fishing. I hate it.
It's fucking boring. Like, what the fuck? When I was a kid, we used to fish, and then like from my neighborhood friends and everything, down at the bottom of the street there was a polluted fucking awful river, because I used to live like across the street from a sawmill, and we used to go down into the river. We used to fish, and you can't eat the fish, so we put salutes in their mouth and light the salutes and blow them to pieces. That's terrible, I know, but they're just fish. They don't got feelings or brains or anything. I remember one time. The fish, when the salute went off, it perfectly like sliced the fish in half and just blew the top off it, and then you could see the insides of the fish, and the worm was still in its stomach. It was fucking gross. But that was the kids I grew up with. I didn't do that. I mean, I was egging them on, blow it up, but I didn't like any of it. I was too young to handle fucking salutes at that point. So we're back at the market, and Jean's running to her car, all freaked out from the memory. But she thinks it's like a dream, but it's really a memory. And she makes it to her car. She's trying to get the keys in. She gets the keys in, and the car won't start. It's just we're in or whatever. And then there's this weird fucking albino looking dude who's I can't place who he is really. I'm sure it's some kind of cut. I'm sure he's either like a Morlock.
He looks horrifying. I wouldn't open the goddamn door either.
He does. He looks like he could be like a Morlock, or maybe it's like Caliban or something. But it's definitely a mutant living in that world, and he looks like Powder from that movie with Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. So he's like, "Are you okay, Jean?" And she's just crying at the fucking the steering wheel. So then we turn the page and we're checking in with the X-Men at Cockrum Hill Cemetery, which is kind of a nod to Dave Cockrum, who used to draw the Uncanny X-Men with Chris Claremont. And they're talking about the events that have been taking place over the past couple issues, and how they've the events that they've been heading off to have not been lasting long enough for them to properly respond and investigate to find out what's really going on. Everybody has their own assumptions. A lot of people think it's Jean Grey and she's back, but a lot of other people are, even though they know the truth, are holding in reserve that it could be something else, but they do know it has something to do with the Phoenix. So they're heading through the cemetery, and they're standing at the grave of Jean Grey, because that's why they came to the cemetery in the first place, because that's where she's buried. And some of them are shocked, but others are not surprised at all. Like Danny Moonstar, she from the New Mutants, she immediately thought it was Jean Grey, so she's proven right. And Kitty says, they're gonna have to find her, and they need Cerebro to find her, but Cerebro's fucked up, because if you remember from the last issue, it got blown up when Cable was trying to use it, and it had like some sort of power surge. So Hank says he's gonna get it back up and running. They just need to find a psychic. So then we know from there where the X-Men are going. They're gonna go find a psychic. So now we're back in I don't know, we'll call it Pleasantville, because it's not real. And we're back with Jean at a garage where she's getting her car fixed by Mr. Patch, who is a dead ringer for Wolverine. And they're having a conversation about bad days and how sometimes everything just keeps going wrong and how to deal with it and whatnot. And Patch offers her a drink to chill her the fuck out, because Wolverine's always drinking beer. He's a dead-on alcoholic. So he offers her a beer, and she just freaks out all of a sudden, uses her telekinesis and starts throwing fucking tools everywhere and throws Mr. Patch up against the wall. And, Patch is like, Jesus, that was some fucking crazy earthquake. And she's apologizing to him because she knows that she did it, but seems like everybody else is blind to the weird shit that she's been causing around her. So then we cut over after that to the Beaumont Hotel in London, where Kitty and a team of X-Men are approaching Emma Frost, and they're there because they need her to use Cerebro, and she's the only psychic that they know of that's not fucked up or completely out of commission or missing or dead or what have you. So they tell her that Jean's back, and she's not surprised, because if you read the solo Jean Grey series that follows Teen Jean, you know why. I'm not going to get into that. So they go back and forth with Emma a bit, trying to get her to help. And then Emma just tells them she knows where Jean's going to be. New Mexico. Why didn't we think of that? So they ask her how she knows this. How do you know? Fucking New Mexico. I mean, that's pretty fucking random, right? So she tells her when her and the original Cyclops were fucking, that his mind would drift to Jean sometimes, and he would think of a special place that they both shared. It is so weird. Like, obviously she's a psychic. She's reading his mind. Half the time when they did fuck, it was only in their minds, at least in Morrison's New X-Men. I mean, after that, when Jean died and stuff, they were fucking for real. But, so I guess he would think of Jean sometimes, maybe because he feels a little guilty about having that psychic romance with Emma and cheating on her. So, and I guess they shared special connection together with New Mexico. I don't know if it's someplace they went together or whatever. They don't really explain the connection, and that's somewhere where, if there is a connection, that's somewhere where my X-Men knowledge is lacking, because I don't know anything about New Mexico. So we cut back to Jean. Oh yeah, my bad. So yeah, they tell her, and they don't need her help anymore, so they head off. And then we cut back to Jean. She's running through the streets of her small town. And it's very dark and dreary. It looks like that Stephen King movie, The Fog. And she's being followed by someone. Well, it looks like a woman, like the cut of her jib. So, but she can't quite make out who she is, who's chasing her. So Jean makes it to her house. She runs inside, locks the door. And then there's knocking, and Jean's fucking freaking out because she thinks she's going fucking insane. She has no clue what the fuck's going on. And then the house catches fire. And it starts to melt down around her, and she turns around, and it's the Phoenix. And she tells Jean it's time they talked. Okay, finally, we're getting somewhere. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So we're back with the X-Men now. And they made their way to New Mexico with a giant team, a huge team. Almost every X-Men that's alive were working today. We got like Angel, Nightcrawler, Kitty, Strong Guy, the X-Men Blue Team, the Gold Team, Magic, fucking Shatterstar, Gambit, Longshot, everybody, Weapon X, everyone's there. Even a couple people I can't realize make out who they are because it's kind of smudgy, the art. And they took 2 fucking Blackbirds to get there, so it's a lot of fucking X-Men. So they're there, they're chilling, and they're looking around New Mexico. They're trying to find, what Emma said they should be looking for, which is basically nothing. They just randomly in New Mexico. And they're looking around, and magically senses something, and she sticks her soul sword into just midair and just cuts up an opening. And then they notice this, I don't know, like a giant dome covering what looks like the Grand Canyon. And I think...
Yeah, I had a hard time telling.
Yeah, right. I mean, because
the way it looks drawn, it just looks weird.
It looks weird. It looks like half a dome that runs into the like a wall of the Grand Canyon. Like I don't know.
That's what I see too.
So weird. But I figure that what's inside this little bubble is the town that Jean has been living in, where we've been seeing all these events of her freaking out and going on dates. And I think she is powerful enough that she could create that little pocket reality, like this little cocoon that's it makes sense though. Like she's been dead for so long. When she died, it was a really like shitty way to die, and she was fucking out of her mind. So maybe this is a way like of her being resurrected to like coddle herself and like bring herself along slowly to like be coming back to life, so she's not completely fucked in the head by the time she comes to her senses. But anyway, this issue was okay. It wasn't bad or anything. Just a little drawn out with not too much happening. Yes, there were plot developments, but I wish they came a little bit faster. The slow-moving mystery was fine for the first 2 issues. I was just expecting a little more from this one. But thank God we're moving into the action territory with number 4 this week. At least it looks that way. The art was decent, but definitely not up to the usual Joe Bennett quality. Some of the figure work was a little loose and sloppy. I can only chalk that up to his output as of late. He's been working for Marvel, DC, and some indie books. I think this week alone he penciled 2 comics, and he's doing at least 3 or 4 books this month. And it really shows in this issue that he's a little overworked. And I'm still excited to see how the last 2 issues play out. But this was definitely a borrow for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all there. I mean, it's not forget because it's intriguing enough, and finally the X-Men have some answers, like they're in the spot where it's all going down. So hopefully next issue is when we finally get down to brass tacks here, and we get some answers, and they all finally meet, and we figure out what's going on. But yeah, hooking me at the end, where it's like you're interested for the next issue, even though it all kind of feels the same on the inside for the first 3 anyway. But at least it didn't end the same way this week as it did the last 2, with just Jean seeing fire again. So
yeah, that would have pissed me off. I would have been out.
Yeah, at least the X-Men are in place now, and they're not going to keep separating and then regrouping and separating and regrouping. So there's progress, and I'm happy with the progress. So yeah, but borrow, it's still borrow. But I think at this point, if you want to just grab the last 2, like if you bought the first one, skip the next 2, like the next 2 should be safe again. So that's where we're at, and we'll cover those next 2 when they come up. But we're gonna wrap up Jean Grey, or no, Phoenix Resurrection: The Return of Jean Grey, number 3, and go off to Venom 160, Venom Inc. Part 5. So yeah, this took a week off, but now we're back in action. And that week off made me almost forget everything that happened, because when this issue started, I'm like, wait a minute, didn't Spider-Man turn good at the end of last issue? So I had to go back and read the beginning page, which I almost never do unless it's a book. I'm just jumping in cold to. Yeah. But I'm glad it's based on your laugh. I'll take it. I'm not the only one. So
yeah, I had that moment too.
Okay. But the issue starts off here. Just before we kick things off, I just want to say, like, we're I'm kind of like at a borrow level for this coming in. Like, I need something to really like hook me to push it to buy level, because it just feels like just such an average nothing story. And I would have rather had Spider-Man like continuing the thread they started with Legacy, like just starting the job and kind of putzing around, getting his feet back underneath him.
I laughed because that's exactly what I wrote in my final thoughts.
Is it really? Yeah. I mean, I'm not at final thoughts. That has no impact on how I'm going into this issue. I'm just like, because we haven't covered it in a couple of weeks, giving people a little background on where I'm at coming in. But yeah, that's funny. We start things off here with just everybody that's teamed up. So we got Black Cat, Anti-Venom, which is Flash, regular Venom, which is Eddie, and Mania, who's not Mania currently. She's just Andy right now, Andrea, with her, hellfire powers, or basically whatever she messes with. She's kind of got a little devilish in her. But they're all outside this group meeting that, what's his goddamn name? The Maniac has gone to, with the 5 families of New York. And what he did at the end of last issue of this crossover was basically, spit that Venom shit he does, or he put it in all their champagne and they all toasted and got venomized. So they're all under his brainwashing control. That's when Spider-Man arrives. He looks all beat up from the previous fight, and Lee, Maniac, doesn't know that he's free of the venomizing he's undergone, until basically Spider-Man, in their back and forth chat, makes a joke that's little out of character for when you're venomized, and Lee kind of gets the hint that he's been compromised. So this, of course, starts the giant brawl that's going to take up the majority of the issue. And Spider-Man makes, the first move by pulling off the fake Venom mask he has on, or maybe it's a piece of Eddie that's not controlling him. I don't know what's going on there. But starts attacking Hammerhead, who's, webbed up, and all the good guys basically have equipped themselves with some sort of like anti-venom serum. So Spider-Man's web is knocking Hammerhead, back to who he actually is. He's not under mind control anymore. And when all the other characters bust in, including Venom, who looks pretty sweet with these giant ass guns and the bullets, the bullet vest crisscrossing across him. And he's got anti-venom bullets. So anybody he's hitting with these isn't dying. They're just going back to the regular scumbags they were before they were venomized, scumbags controlled by Lee Price. So they're obviously not helping Lee anymore, and most of them are getting the hell out of Dodge. Eventually what ends up happening is Anti-Venom kind of gets all surrounded and compromised, and the good guys start getting taken out a little bit one by one, as also groups of these other venomized bad guys start coming to and shaking off what they're going through. Scorpion is really the only one that's pissed about all this, because he kind of liked having the symbiote back and being a little extra powerful. Yeah, he really seems the only one let down by all this, which is pretty much the main development coming out of this fight that's just going back and forth before Lee eventually regroups. you know, with whatever he has remaining left on his side. And what's this building just blow up? We got another random building blow up in a Spider-Man comic as everyone kind of scatters and gets out of Dodge.
I think it was Andy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, she released like a Hellfire bomb, and you know the symbiotes are afraid of fire. Basically, that's one of their weaknesses. Spider-Man saves the one symbiote that they need. Venom and Anti-Venom. Well, actually, kind of one and a half, I guess you could say. I don't know if you really classify Anti-Venom as a full-on symbiote, because he's not really like under any sort of mind share control type thing going on there. But Spider-Man, like, you know, has a moment with Venom where he's like, yeah, how about we don't tell anybody I kind of just saved your ass there, which was probably my favorite moment of the issue. But all of this Venom that's kind of laying on the floor from these bad guys being quote unquote cured, like T2, and finding its way back to Maniac. So instead of being all split up and, you know, probably not as powerful as he could be when he's sharing all of that, it all comes back to him. All of it that he spit out over the course of time to mind control these people. And he turns into basically a full-on other version of the old Venom he was. You know, slightly different look than Venom, with like guns coming out of his symbiote, which look pretty sweet. He's not hanging on to these things. They're like literally coming out of his shoulders and his armpits cool. and shit. But
you know,
yeah,
if you think about it, the symbiote could pull the trigger for him, you know, like just with a thought, it could be like pop, pop,
oh
pop.
Yeah,
pop,
I don't imagine he's got to like bring his arms up to his armpits and start pulling the triggers there. That would look pretty kind of weird. He's like, oh, let me scratch my pits before I drop these guns, and he just starts shooting.
That's weird. That symbiote, like, you never see like the person that's using it like sharing their mind, like talking with the symbiote. It's just kind of weird that one.
Yeah,
bring that up.
You're right. I guess I've never really put much thought into it, other than when Spider-Man and Venom, Eddie Brock, kind of have that, you know, symbiote thing, or just Eddie specifically. They kind of has that mind control / mind share going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they all did. What's his name? I forget. Well, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Lee.
Carnage?
Lee had it.
Oh yeah, Lee.
Yeah, Lee had it. Spidey had it. Brock had it. Fucking Flash had it. But with this specific symbiote, for some reason they just don't communicate. And I've never seen Andy in any of the Maniac stories do it either. So it's just weird.
Oh yeah. Now that maybe in her first one, because I might have read her origin story, but yeah, I don't really remember her dealing with that mind fuck, I guess, that the symbiote usually Eddie Brock's and Spider-Man's origin symbiote basically puts everybody through. You're right. So that is a little weird. I mean, it's not something and even Carnage doesn't deal with that, and he's a crazy psychopath.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a weird symbiote thing. I guess we'll have to maybe at somebody about that. I don't know if they'll know. But yeah, as far as buy, borrow, or forget, I mean, it's borrow. I had fun reading this issue. That Spider-Man joke and then the action and the art made it borrow level. But I'm just kind of waiting for this to get over with so we can kind of wrap up Dan Slott's Spider-Man story, because I feel like there's just a lot to do before he signs off the book, and not as much time to get it done that we're putzing around with this Venom crossover. You know what what I'm saying? So I hope he gets I've enjoyed his run for the most part, and I just hope he gets enough issues to wrap it up in the way that he wants to, and we get a good solid conclusion before whoever comes on next comes on. You know, the rumor Nick Spencer, whatever. I'll give that a try. I don't care who it is. It's Spider-Man. I'll buy it anyway.
I think they're doing bi-weekly.
Yeah, it's been bi-weekly since before Legacy. Remember, because we were like, this is coming out at a really fast clip. They're trying to get to that Legacy numbering or whatever. I don't know, because the 800 is coming out soon too. So,
yep.
Yeah, borrow for me though. I mean, I really like the art. I know some people. What's his name?
Geraldo
Sandoval.
Sandoval.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
some people either like his Venom stuff or they hate it, and I kind of dig it a little bit. So,
I wonder if
you
he's
know,
related to Rafa Sandoval.
yeah, there's so many comic names that are like the last same name, but
I know.
I wonder because a lot of them are just foreign. If it's just like the foreign equivalent of Williams or Smith at the same time, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe. Because there are a lot of Sandovals. There's Gerardo Sandoval, there's Rafa Sandoval, and then there was another Sandoval that penciled Red Hood and the Outlaws. I forget
Yeah,
the
there's a
first
couple
name.
in baseball too. I always I forget what his name is, but there's a Sandoval that plays baseball. I'm pretty sure.
It's probably just a common name.
Yeah.
They definitely, him and the other my favorite Sandoval, Rafa Sandoval, they definitely don't have similar styles. Rafa Sandoval is like that very clean style. This guy's more rigid and sharp, you know. But at this point, I'm just along for the ride, I guess. I don't really,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like you. I want to get back to where Spider-Man was before all this. I'm glad Flash Thompson's got a Venom type costume back. It's cool.
Yeah, that's the one development out of all this I like.
Yeah.
Like he's got kind of like a reason to be more than just Flash Thompson. You know, he's something else besides just
he's not
Flash.
just sitting in the background showing up to parties for Peter or something.
Yeah,
Like he actually has something to
right.
do now. And they could give him a book because I like Flash Thompson. He's a cool character. The art's cool. I don't dislike Gerardo Sandoval. There are a lot of great panels, like when we first see Venom and Flash and Black Cat, and he's got the two guns. Like Venom just looks fucking badass right there, like really awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know, some stuff, like I think with Venom his style fits perfect, but when I was reading Al Ewing's New Avengers, I did not like his style for that book, but for this book it's perfect.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I definitely like his Venom, the way he draws Venom in the look.
Yeah, his Venom is great. Like he should definitely stick on this book. But you know, I really feel like this whole entire thing was forced on Slott and Costa by editorial just to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Venom. Like that's, I feel like it just, you know, because it's a very formulaic story. Like it goes exactly the way you thought it's gonna go. Like he indoctrinates all these guys to be like his little mini Venom drones, and then they come back, and you know, Flash had the cure since like the beginning of this whole entire thing. He's anti-Venom.
It all gets undone, and basically like every development gets undone the next issue, and like we're just waiting for Lee basically to inevitably give up the symbiote and pass it back to Andy. I'm sure.
Back to Andy, yeah. So. I mean, I hope it doesn't get destroyed. One thing that's kind of pissing me off is like Spider-Man's attitude. This whole entire like, oh, the symbiote's a monster. I hate the symbiote. Like, dude, get the fuck over yourself. Like, he had this bad experience because he couldn't control himself like a bitch. But you know, Flash controlled it. Like everybody who has experience with the thing is telling it. It's, you know, it kind of vibes off of how you are, you know. And he's just like a bitch about it, and that kind of just pisses me off a little bit. But yeah, I'm a little venomed out, but it wasn't bad. It was cool. I'll throw it a borrow.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, we're gonna cut here, go off to the Midpoint Marvelous Facts, and be back with the final two books for you guys.